What's up, people? Today we're diving headfirst into the rabbit hole of alien abduction. That's right, we're talking UFOs, creepy little gray dudes, and wild stories from folks who claim they were taken for a ride on the extraterrestrial express. You might be thinking, yeah, right, like I believe these weirdos, but let me tell you, some of these cases are so insane they will make you wonder what if. What if aliens were out here tagging us like we're their science fair project? But before we crack open these stories, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and ring that bell, because let's face it, we're already deep in the conspiracy zone, and you don't want to miss a single episode. Alright, strap in folks, because this is about to get wilder than a UFO crash at Roswell. Hint, hint. We've got to start with the case that kicked off the entire alien abduction craze. Betty and Barney Hill. These two were just a regular, everyday American couple back in 1961 driving home from New Hampshire when they saw a bright light in the sky. Now, Barney's first thought wasn't, ooh, aliens. No, my man thought it was a weather balloon. Yeah, sure, buddy, because the government just casually floats balloons with disco lights in the middle of the night in rural England. Nice try. Anyway, the Hills claimed that after following these lights for a bit, they got abducted by aliens. Not just any aliens, though. We're talking about the stereotypical grays. Short, big eyes, no emotions, like if Jeff Bezos got a CGI makeover. The Hills said they were examined on a spaceship, poked and prodded, quote unquote, like lab rats. And then poof, they were back in their car, wondering what the hell just happened. But here's where it gets wild. Betty started having these crazy vivid dreams about the encounter, and under hypnosis, both she and Barney gave matching details about the abduction. They even described a star map that Betty claimed the aliens showed her. And guess what? Decades later, astronomers identified the star system as Zeta Reticuli, which is now UFO fan favorite go-to alien hangout spot. So were the Hills just really creative liars? Or did they actually get beamed up like a couple of unlucky contestants on an extraterrestrial game show? Alright, if the Hills were the pioneers, then Travis Walton is the celebrity of alien abductions. This guy got abducted in '75 in front of a group of his friends while they were working as lumberjacks in Arizona. Yeah, you heard me. Dude was chopping wood, minding his own business when bam, he gets zapped into a UFO beam like it's a bad episode of The X-Files. The best part, his buddies totally dipped on him, like full on, leave no man behind went out the window. They saw Travis getting beamed up and were like, well, time to clock out. You have to wonder what the car ride was like back home. Hey guys, should we tell somebody that Travis got kidnapped by aliens, or nah, just let's wait a few days? Travis disappeared for 5 days. When he came back, he claimed he had been taken aboard a UFO where he saw humanoid beings with huge eyes and advanced technology. Yeah, sounds like a relaxing retreat. Here's what's crazy. Travis passed multiple detector tests after the incident, and so did his friends. And this was back in the 70s, when the only truth serum you had was whiskey. To this day, skeptics can't explain what happened. The Walton's case is still one of the most incredible, iconic abduction stories ever reported. So either he's a top-tier liar, or the aliens were really bored and decided to take a lumberjack for a joyride. Alright, quick call to action. If you're loving this trip down extraterrestrial rabbit hole, then hit that like button and subscribe, or Travis might beam you up with him next. Okay, let's talk about the Pascagoula incident, which has to be one of the weirdest, most uncomfortable abduction stories ever. In 1973, two dudes, Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, were fishing alongside a river in Pascagoula, Mississippi, when they were allegedly abducted by aliens. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sure, two dudes in the south, by the water, this is probably a whiskey-fueled fever dream, but no. These guys stuck to their story like glue. They claimed 3 alien beings floated out of a UFO, grabbed them with claw-like hands, and brought them aboard. These aliens weren't your typical cute, gray Roswell type either. Oh no. These were bug-eyed, wrinkly, just plain weird-looking beings. Think of them as the dollar store version of aliens. Clearly, these guys did not get the Hollywood upgrade. On the ship, Hickson and Parker said they were paralyzed and subjected to bizarre medical examinations. Calvin Parker was so freaked out that he basically shut down and refused to talk about it for years. But Hickson was ready to spill the beans to anyone who would listen, and even passed a lie detector test. And let's be honest, this was Mississippi in the 70s. If you're gonna lie, you'd probably pick something a little more believable than, yup, aliens grabbed me by the claw, checked me out like a discount science experiment. Even local law enforcement believed something did happen. happen. Although what exactly, well, that's still up for debate. But hey, if you're gonna get abducted by aliens, you might as well go all out, right? Now we're hopping over the pond for this next one in the Rendlesham Forest incident, also known as the UK's version of Roswell. This one got everything. Military witnesses, UFO sightings, and a healthy dose of government cover-up. You know we love to see this. In December 1980, U.S. Air Force personnel stationed in the UK at RAF Bentwater was put out on patrol when they saw strange lights in Rendlesham Forest. Naturally, they went to check it out because apparently nobody in horror movies or UFO cases ever think to just leave this one alone. They stumbled upon what they describe as a metallic craft hovering in the forest covered in mysterious symbols. It was like a scene straight out of Close Encounters, except with more stiff British accents. Over the next few days, multiple military personnel claimed to witness lights in the sky, and some even reported physical effects from the encounter, like burns on the skin or strange radiation readings. These weren't your local conspiracy theorists either. These were trained military officers who were more concerned about fighting the Cold War than making up alien stories. But here's where it gets juicy. Despite extensive reports and official documents from the military, the British and American governments have done everything they can to downplay this incident. They call it a lighthouse in the distance. Really, a lighthouse? These are trained Air Force professionals, not some guys who accidentally dropped acid on the job. The Rendlesham Forest incident is still considered one of the most credible UFO encounters in history. And the fact that the government keeps sweeping it under the rug, well, that just makes it even more suspicious, bro. Alright, picture this. 4 bros head out for a camping trip in the middle of nowhere. No Wi-Fi, no phones, just good old nature. Sounds like the start of a horror movie, right? Well, it kinda was. In 1976, 4 men, Jim Weiner, Jack Weiner, Chuck Rack, and Charles Folks, went camping along the Allagash Waterway in Maine when they saw something bizarre in the sky. At first, they thought it was just a bright light in the sky, maybe a plane or a satellite, but then it got closer and closer until it was clear this thing was not part of the regular air traffic control. That's when the fear sets in, and the 4 friends were suddenly engulfed by a beam of light, and just like that, they blacked out. When they woke, hours had passed, but to them it felt like minutes. Fast forward a bit, and the men began to experience intense nightmares, all describing the same thing, being inside a spaceship surrounded by aliens performing medical experiments. In 1998, under hypnosis, all 4 men recalled eerie similar details about their abduction experience. Now, some skeptics have tried to claim these guys were just tripping on LSD or had some sort of group hallucination, but let's be real. If 4 grown men want to lie about what happened on their camping trip, they'd probably go with something a little bit more believable, like a bear attack, or we drank too much. Instead, they're sticking with alien abduction. That's dedication, folks. Alright, time to address the elephant, or should I say little green man in the room. The biggest issue with the alien abduction is that no matter how believable the witnesses are, how similar their stories seem, how many lie detectors they can pass, most people still think, nah, these folks are nuts. But are they? I mean, it's easy to dismiss their cases as ramblings of a few weirdos, but here's the thing. Many of these witnesses were normal people. Military personnel, police officers, school teachers, people you wouldn't expect to go full tinfoil hat on you. And while skeptics are quick to throw around the terms like sleep paralysis or psychological trauma, or my personal favorite, mass hysteria, let's not forget how quickly we label things as impossible just because they don't fit our worldview. Remember, at one point in history, people thought the Earth was flat, that flying was impossible, and that fanny packs would never come back into style. But look at us now, circling the globe with wireless earbuds and ugly yet functional fashion accessories. Who's to say aliens haven't been slipping under the radar this whole time? And let's talk about the media for a second. If there's one thing we can thank popular culture for, it's making alien abductions seem like the ramblings of a paranoid nutjob from their mom's basement. Ever since the X-Files, Men in Black, and even before that, the UFO topic has been painted as something only the crazies believe in. It's the ultimate stereotype. Some dudes in a tinfoil hat yelling at the sky about the government. It's not the case. But let's be real for a second. Who controls the narrative? Who tells us which stories are credible and which ones aren't? The media, and maybe maybe, just maybe, we've been throwing up a smokescreen for years. What if the joke's on us? We laugh, we meme, we dismiss anyone who says they saw a UFO, and meanwhile, the real deal is going on in our backyard, buried under mountains of ridicule. Think about it. If you were a government agency sitting on actual alien intel, would you want people to take it seriously? Or would you want to cover it up in so much nonsense that no one knows what to believe in anymore? The fact that alien abductions have become a punchline in sitcoms is a perfect camouflage. The aliens could be laughing their little gray heads off, saying these humans are too busy watching ancient aliens to even realize that we're already here. So, what about today? Are aliens still taking people for joyrides? Or did they decide that's not worth the trouble anymore? Turns out the abduction stories haven't stopped. They've just gotten a lot quieter. With the rise of smartphones and social media, you'd think that TikTok has clips of abductions left, right, and center. But nope. Either aliens are getting smarter than that, or they've moved on to abducting people in a way that we can't detect. Or maybe they've perfected mind control. And yeah, I know that sounds insane, but hear me out. What if aliens figured out how to erase our memories, leaving abductees with nothing but a vague sense of unease, a lingering thought that something's off, but no proof? These days, people who claim to be abducted tend to report similar stories: missing time, strange marks on their body, weird dreams, and in some cases, implants, small objects found under the skin that no doctor can explain. And let's not forget, even though UFO sightings are at an all-time high, official reports are still downplayed. Governments around the world, including the good old US of A, keep dodging questions about UFOs like they're playing a galactic game of dodgeball. Now, it wouldn't be an alien abduction story without throwing the government under the bus. Let's talk about Project Blue Book, the US government's official investigation into UFOs from 1952 to 1969. Their final report? Nah, it's all swamp gas and weather balloons. Yeah, sure it is. But here's the kicker. Since Project Blue Book, the government has claimed they're done investigating UFOs, that there's nothing to see here. But guess what? In 2020, the Pentagon released footage of UFOs and admitted they have been looking into this stuff all along under the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, quote unquote. So after years of gaslighting us to thinking alien abductions are a joke, now they're like, oh yeah, those things. We don't know what they are either. Have a nice day. They're literally playing both sides of the coin. On one hand, they want you to think it is all nonsense. On the other hand, they've got files thicker than the Twilight Saga hidden away somewhere. If that doesn't make you question everything, I don't know what will. So, what's the most credible alien abduction case out there? Honestly, it's up for debate. Some people will point to Betty and Barney Hill because they were the first OGs. Others say Travis Walton because his story is straight up bonkers. And then there's the Rendlesham forest incident with all its military witnesses. But here's the thing, credibility is a moving target. The more you dig into these cases, the more you realize that credible doesn't mean what you think it means. If a military officer says he saw a UFO, that doesn't make it more believable than your neighbor Bob saying he did. Who decides what credible is and what's not? At the end of the day, the most credible case is the one that makes you question reality. The one that makes you sit back and think, wait a second, maybe there's something out there. And honestly, that's what makes these stories so fun. They're not just tales of weird lights in the sky. They're challenges to our entire worldview. What if the truth is really out there and we're just too busy laughing at it to notice? All right, folks, we've gone on a wild ride today. We've talked about people being zapped up by UFOs, military cover-ups, and whether or not aliens have been using us as their personal science project for decades. But what does it all mean? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe these folks really did get abducted. Or maybe it's all just part of some elaborate psychological phenomenon. But here's the thing, something happened to these people, and they believe it down to their core. And whether you're a skeptic or a full-on believer, you have to admit one thing, these stories are fascinating. So next time you look up at the night sky, just remember, you might not be as alone as you think. Okay, before you go, please smash that like button and drop a comment telling me which abduction story blew your mind the most. Your engagement with us means the world, so do not forget to subscribe because we got more out of this world content coming your way. And hey, if you see a bright light in the sky, maybe just stay inside, yeah? We'll see you next time, guys.